Welcome to The Journey. My name is Kevin Polky, and I am the host of The Journey. And each week, we have the opportunity to either have a guest on the show who talks about their story of some type of setback or ordeal that they may have experienced in their life. What was that ordeal or that setback? But also, most importantly, what did they learn as they themselves were moving through that, and how did that ordeal develop them into who they are today? So those gifts within of the teacher that was within the ordeal. And then other times we have what we refer to as reflections on the journey. And it may be something that I've either come across or something that I may have been experiencing in some different capacity. And so this time period of the year, summer months, is when people typically will go on vacation. And I remember uh, reflecting back on previous vacations that I had gone on. Earlier in my life, I would spend time going on trips, road trips by myself. One of the places that I would go primarily would be to South Dakota, specifically the Black Hills. And that first experiences in the early 90s when I would go out there became a very special place for me. I would refer to it as sacred space. That was the place in the Black Hills, specifically Custer State Park. That was the location that I traveled and was seeking for some guidance, seeking God to some direction. In that particular case, I was seeking some. Was Diane the person that I was supposed to marry? Historically, I had been in other relationships, and they may not have evolved to a point where they weren't working out anymore. And I was asking God for direction on how to get out of those relationships, or for those relationships as they were ending, how to heal and recover from that. This time, I figured I would ask God ahead of time, is this a person who I was supposed to uh, have a long-term commitment to? A year later, I brought Diane back out to that same place, and that is where we got engaged. And 2 years after that, when we found out that Diane was pregnant with Caleb, we went back out to that same location to dedicate Caleb to God, that we were going to raise him from a spiritual standpoint with Christian values and Christian lifestyle. And so that space has been very special, very sacred. I remember thinking to myself how I would long to go there again in between trips. One trip, as I was preparing for that trip, uh, I remember thinking maybe what I need to do is figure out how can I bring South Dakota back to Rockford? How can I, instead of longing to go there, which I still continue to look forward to, but how can I bring that, what I've experienced out there, bring that back here? For me, it was about being able to realize that though, yes, it was easier for me to get into that space, get into that uh, uh, mindset of being able to experience God out in the Black Hills. It was easier for me to do that there when I was out in the woods. But what things could I do here in Rockford to make it easier for me to get into that space? So I was coming across something that I had written a while ago, and I'm going to read it to you. One of my favorite times of the day is in the morning. I just finished my morning workout and I go outside to cool down and just sit. Sometimes I will do some breathing exercises. Other times I will start reading and then reflecting on a devotional. In those moments of reflecting, then it happens. I hear the birds singing. I watch the wind dance with the leaves and take in the deep smells of nature. Everything seems to slow down. But really, what has slowed? Me, or at least my thinking. Sometimes it takes more intentional effort to let go and put aside for this moment's distractions, problems, and the to-do list. Other times, I will have to move to burn off some stress chemicals so I can slow down. Regardless of what I need to do to get into that space, I know it is my responsibility to intentionally prepare myself to be in that space. See, for me, that space is sacred, always present, but fluid because of me. Always present because I have come to believe God, as I understand Him, is always present, but I'm not. I get tired, I get distracted, anxious, I get prideful, and when I'm hurting, I'm always in my head thinking. My thinking, though a gift, is the same thing that will keep me stuck until I surrender and let go. Nothing on the outside may change, but I am different because I can now see differently. Then there is an opportunity for creativity, imagination, innovation, hope, and love. Though my favorite time is the stillness of the morning, if I'm intentional and open, I can hear the birds sing and the wind dance any time of the day. So as we quiet ourselves and quiet our thinking, to be able to hear the birds, to hear the sounds of nature, to watch the wind dance in the leaves, and knowing that that stillness, that that my mind slows down and my heart beat slows down so that I can see things from a broader perspective, for me, allows me to not get so tied into things, so tied into my thinking or my ego or whatever may be going on. It's in that space of being able to slow down my thinking so that I can then see from a broader space. Maybe that's what they mean by seeing a situation or a person through God's eyes. The question I would leave with you today is, what do you do to find that stillness for yourself? What things what what things do you do for yourself? What things do you need to put into that place to create that sacred space for that sacred time for you? And how can you get regular doses throughout the day to have that sacred space? As always, I appreciate you being here and listening to these reflections. And if you think that there may be anyone that may benefit from hearing uh, some of these thoughts, I would encourage you to pass that on to them. We just never know where someone may be at, and they may need something that, if it moves you, it may very well be able to move or motivate or inspire someone else as well. Once again, thank you for being with us today, and I look forward to being with you next week.